Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Wehry History and Entertainment News of the Berkshires and beyond. As spring is in full bloom, many unique outdoor events are happening in Berkshire County. On this episode, I'll be focusing on Shakespeare and Company's outdoor season, Berkshire Botanical Gardens spring sale, and Art Week in the Berkshires, among other things. Plus, I'll be reviewing the film Zootopia 2, and it's also time for one of my favorite yearly stories, the annual Basketball Hall of Fame inductee announcement. First, it's time for this episode's trivia question. This episode's question is, who is considered the founder of Mother's Day? Now, for this episode's local headlines. First, it's time for a long-awaited update on the Berkshire Museum in Pittsfield. Viewers may have noticed a lack of stories on the museum this year. That is because they are still undergoing major updates. On their website, the museum states, quote, 2026 is poised to be one of the biggest years in our history as we prepare to reopen this summer with a wide assortment of new experiences, from exhibits and exhibitions to updates on old favorites. The biggest and most exciting is a new state-of-the-art aquarium on our first floor. And we have some exciting news on that front. The museum has just received our first batch of tanks. These important components have arrived and mark a major milestone as we move into the next phase of installation. Over the coming months, the tanks will be installed and prepared to house a diverse range of fresh and saltwater fish, along with select terrestrial animals such as geckos and snakes. The process will culminate in an engaging and memorable experience filled with fascinating species for visitors to discover and learn about, end quote. An exact date for the reopening of the Berkshire Museum is still unknown. However, the window is still scheduled for summer 2026. Stay tuned to WWHEN for more information. Up next, we will be going to Massamoka for a concert with the popular band The Head and the Heart. Hear why Rolling Stone is calling The Head and Heart's latest release, Arbiter, their best album yet, when the acclaimed indie band takes to the Hunter Center stage as part of their 15th anniversary tour. As The Head and the Heart toured behind their 2022 album Every Shade of Blue, Jonathan Russell realized that something needed to change inside the band he had co-founded a dozen years earlier. the entire songwriting process. Aperture, the Head and Heart's latest sixth album and their first since signing to Verve Forecast Records, is the affirming sound of their restart. After leading so much of the songwriting during the last decade, Russell ceded that role to everyone, shooing away siloed work for a highly collaborative approach where everyone hatched tunes together in a room or passed ideas between coasts. With every song fortified by the sense of beginning again, Aperture is the Head and Heart's most vital and poignant album, and it may be the best work they've ever done. This concert is scheduled to take place on Saturday, May 9th at 8 p.m. For more information, visit massmocha.org. For our next story, we will be visiting the Berkshire Botanical Gardens in Stockbridge for their annual spring sale and other events. This is great for Mother's Day, which is fast approaching. This Mother's Day weekend, Berkshire Botanical Garden will burst into spring with something entirely new. Two beloved events happening side by side for the very first time. From May 8th through the 10th, the garden invites visitors to a weekend-long celebration of plants, play, and community as the 49th annual Plants and Answers Plant Sale overlaps with the second annual Spring Fest on Saturday, May 9th. Together, they promise a vibrant, family-friendly welcome to the growing season. First, the plant sale. For nearly half a century, the Plants and Answers Plant Sale has served as the Berkshire's unofficial signal that spring has finally arrived. Established in 1977, the sale has become a cherished Mother's Day weekend tradition for gardeners across the region. This year's edition, curated by Berkshire Botanical Gardens horticultural staff, offers hundreds of perennials, annuals, herbs, and vegetables, each selected with a thoughtful emphasis on diversity and nature-based landscaping. The goal is to help gardeners embrace plantings that are exuberant rather than uniform and full of movement, color, and life. Pollinator-friendly choices abound, with varieties that welcome bees, butterflies, hummingbirds, and even nighttime moths. While the plant sale fills the grounds with gardening excitement, Springfest brings an added layer of festivity on Saturday, May 9th. A full day of family fun with free admission from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Designed as a celebration of the season and of community, Springfest features food trucks and enough children's activities to keep the youngest visitors happily busy for hours. Little ones can enjoy a petting zoo, pony rides, face painting, classic lawn games, and more. A traditional maypole dance adds a whimsical, old-world flourish to this day's lineup. The Spring Sale and Spring Fest are going on the week of May 8th through the 10th. For more information, visit the website shown here. Mother's Day also supplies the answer to this episode's trivia question. As a reminder, this episode's question was, who is considered the founder of Mother's Day? The answer is Anna Jarvis. The modern holiday was first celebrated in 1908, when Anna Jarvis held the first Mother's Day service of worship at Andrews Methodist Episcopal Church in Grafton, West Virginia. Her campaign to make Mother's Day a recognized holiday in the United States actually began in 1905, the year her mother, Anne Reeves Jarvis, passed away. Anne Jarvis had been a peace activist who cared for wounded soldiers on both sides of the American Civil War and created Mother's Day work clubs to address public health issues. Anna Jarvis wanted to honor this and to set aside a day to honor all mothers because she believed a mother is, quote, the person who has done more for you than anyone in the world, end quote. Up next, we will be going to Art Week in the Berkshires. Art Week Berkshires features more than 100 events each year. Submissions from actors, cartoonists, crafters, dancers, designers, filmmakers, illustrators, mimes, multimedia artists, musicians, performance artists, poets, puppeteers, theater artists, visual artists, writers, and even more are encouraged. The event will feature open studios, gallery talks, performances, workshops, and more interactive experience. Funds pooled by the 5 cultural districts through grants from the Mass Cultural Center make this event possible and support marketing and promotion to shine a spotlight on participants. The Art Week Committee has posted its online call for artists. It is a non-juried event free to all individuals, organizations, and businesses in the Berkshires interested in showing creative work. The county-wide collaboration spotlights Berkshire County's 5 state-designated cultural districts. The Downtown Great Barrington Cultural District, Lenox Cultural District, North Adams Cultural District, Upstreet Cultural District in Pittsfield, and Williamstown Cultural District. Art Week Berkshires, a county-wide collaboration, will take place May 15th through 25th, and you can be a part of it. For more information, visit the website shown here. Up next, we will be going to the Shakespeare and Company Theater Group in Lenox, where their season is underway. This marks the first season since the passing of their founder, Tina Packer, earlier this year. so it's a bittersweet one. First up is a new original play called Fireflies. Retired school teacher Eleanor Bannister lives alone in tiny Groverdale, Texas, settled into her routines and secure in her standing as the town's most respected woman. When a hole in her roof brings Abel Brown, a charming, smooth-talking drifter, onto her doorstep, he offers to repair the house and quietly begins to upend her carefully ordered life. As an unexpected light romance flickers to life, gossip spreads and doubts surface. Can Abel be trusted? Or is he not quite who he seems? Either way, the whole town is watching. This show is scheduled for June 19th through July 19th. Another show happening is a production of Twelfth Night. Shipwrecks, disguises, and mistaken identities spark the joyful chaos of Twelfth Night, Shakespeare's most playful romantic comedy. Love runs amok, wit flies, and nothing is quite what it seems in this sun-soaked tale of music and mischief. This was one of Tina Packer's favorite Shakespeare plays, so this production is a meaningful one. This performance will be going on July 4th through the 26th. It will be an outdoor performance, so be wary of weather delays and postponements. For more information, visit the website shown here. For our next story, we will be taking a road trip to Springfield. This story is a unique event, the world's largest pancake breakfast. The world's largest pancake breakfast is a great way to meet neighbors and friends as the community sits down at Springfield's breakfast table in celebration of the city's May 14th, 1636 founding. The menu includes hot, hearty pancakes, bacon, coffee, juice, and milk, and lots of local talent and entertainment. Some background about the event. In 1976, Springfield was celebrating the country's bicentennial and decided to throw a breakfast on Main Street. 10 years later, when the city was celebrating its 350th anniversary, another breakfast was thrown, and there began a friendly competition with Battle Creek, Michigan, the self-proclaimed cereal capital of America. Each year, the two communities battled it out for the world's largest breakfast title. First, the focus was on the length of the breakfast table. Springfield set up a table stretching 2,500 feet on which they served 24,000 servings. A month later, the folks in Battle Creek outdid the Springfield breakfast by 200 feet of table and over 26,000 servings. Springfield still has the largest pancake breakfast. It eventually made the move from Main Street to the Eastfield parking lot in 2005 and 6 before moving back to Main Street. The cooking tents and 2 entertainment areas were strategically placed and then surrounded by volunteers serving coffee, milk, and juice. After the hot and hearty breakfast, participants moved indoors for shopping, movies, and more. This event takes place on May 16th. It will be held from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. on Main Street from State Street to Bridge Street. Admission is free, but parking costs money. There are 5 parking locations: I-91 South Garage, I-91 North Garage, Convention Center Car Park, Columbus Center Garage, and Union Station Garage. For more information, visit the website shown here. It's now time for this episode's movie portion of WWHEN. This episode, we'll be reviewing the animated film Zootopia 2. The movie takes place shortly after the first Zootopia ended. Even though they have advanced in the police force, Bunny Judy Hopps and Fox Nick Wilde have reached a negative turning point in their partnership. When the supposedly all-mammal city is suddenly turned on its head by the arrival of Gary the Snake, a mysterious reptile on a mission of his own, Judy and Nick find their partnership put to the test as they work to unravel a dark conspiracy involving reptiles, a so-called innocent family of lynxes, and an antique book that could change the future of Zootopia for good. So, what did I think of this movie? The first Zootopia is one of my favorite animated films. I think Zootopia 2 is just as good. It keeps the same amount of humor, heart, and great animation as the first film. It's also really funny to see how in this world, animals and humans aren't really that different from each other. Also, there are lots of new memorable characters. My favorite being Gary the Snakes, who shows how you can't just judge a book by its cover. One of the biggest problems I had with the original Zootopia movie was its twist villain. I feel like it didn't make sense there and was rushed without really allowing the villain to develop. In Zootopia 2, on the other hand, the villains work much better. There is a twist villain here too, but the way it builds up makes sense. And we get more used to the character, no spoilers, before they turn evil. Overall, Zootopia 2 is great for families of all ages and makes one excited for the inevitable next Zootopia film. On a scale of 1 to 10, I give Zootopia an 8.5. It's now time for a very special segment for WWHEN. The annual Basketball Hall of Fame induction announcement. The Basketball Hall of Fame, which is located in Springfield, has selected another excellent group of basketball elites into its class. Before diving into the class, here are some facts about this year's inductees. This year, 9 members were inducted, which was the same amount as last year. This class was especially strong for the women. In fact, only 1 player from the NBA was inducted this year, compared to 3 from the WNBA. There was even an all-women's team in this class. Now, for the class of 2026. As usual, all Hall of Famers will be listed in alphabetical order, as no Hall of Famer is more important than another. Joey Crawford, a referee who spent 39 years in the NBA and called a record 374 playoff games. Mike D'Antoni, a coach whose fast-paced offense led to the most exciting era of the NBA. Elena Della Donne, a 2-time WNBA MVP who led the Washington Mystics to the 2019 WNBA Championship. Mark Few, an active college coach who has led Gonzaga University to an NCAA tournament appearance for 26 consecutive seasons. Shamik Holdsclaw, who led the University of Tennessee to 3 consecutive NCAA Women's Championships in the 90s. Candace Parker, who won multiple championships in all levels of basketball and was the first great female slam dunk artist. Doc Rivers, an active coach who has won over 1,000 games in the NBA and led the Boston Celtics to the 2008 NBA Championship. Amare Stoudemire, the 2002 NBA Rookie of the Year, who was a powerful center for the Phoenix Suns while earning multiple All-Star bids. And the 1996 United States Olympic women's basketball team, whose gold medal success in that year's Olympics paved the way for the creation of the WNBA. The 2026 Hall of Fame ceremony weekend is scheduled for August 14th and 15th. Travel to Springfield is not recommended during this week. Over the next few months, I will be doing more in-depth biographies of all Hall of Famers. So stay tuned. That ends this episode of Wehry History and Entertainment News in the Berkshires and beyond. If you would like to watch this or any other WWHCN episode again, you can visit PCTV's website shown here, or my YouTube page at RT Wehry. And I want to thank CTSB TV and NBCTC for showing my show on their public access station. Thank you.